Welcome back, everyone. So today is going to be a different devotional. I'm going to tell you about a couple dreams that I actually had, and meanings that I feel the Lord was guiding me to through those dreams. I'm not used to that kind of thing, but I felt it was important, so I feel I should be sharing it with everyone. And dreams have been proven throughout the Bible to be ways for the Lord to speak to us and to tell us different messages, and can be very important that way. We see that throughout the life of Joseph, and especially Joseph. He was the dreamer, but we do see it in other places in the Bible as well. And so I will tell you the two dreams that I had, and then I will tell you what the meaning that the Lord was kind of guiding me to, as well as a verse that followed up with my own devotion. My wife also had her verse that of the day that popped up on her Bible app also tied in, which was really kind of cool. So the first dream we see is that I was part of a church game about having to go into hiding as a group of believers set aside for Christ, is the word that our pastor used. And to prep, we were refacing a building with big chunks of rock, which was surprisingly easy to do. And then we were purposely leaving an extra pile of rocks to hide on and amongst, which again, kind of an odd dream. And then in that dream, a group of elderly women were judging us and calling us sinners and saying that they were better, thinking that they were better than us. And the other believers said to just ignore it, but I had felt the need to speak out and saying that they had no right to judge us, as the Bible states that only God has the right to judge, and got into a debate with these women. And as a result, a couple of them ended up changing what they were thinking and came to believe in the Lord as well. And with that, that first dream ended. And then the second dream came about, and it began where my wife and I were part of the same or a similar type of game. And we had stamps on our hands as believers, and this was supposed to represent the seal of God. We must pack up our things, and we had to leave for Christ, symbolically in the game. And some would need to go into hiding, which my wife did, and others would be called to be operatives for Christ, helping others to keep these believers hidden and safe, of which I was one of these operatives. And my seal was that of Jonah, which was different than theirs, and it confused me in the dream until the end of the dream. And I say it confused me because my character was saying it was just odd and weird. I was going about showing those who are trying to hunt down these Christians to all the wrong locations. When all unbelievers began being stamped or sealed, they can suddenly, or they were marked. The unbelievers were being marked, which I should be saying. And then suddenly these unbelievers could see my seal, but they could only see half of my seal, and it was similar to the mark, and so they were thinking it was the mark. So they still thought I was one of them. In the end, I had to end up on the run as they discovered that my true seal was different than theirs. But I ended up being around to call at the end of the game and I was happily reunited with my wife, Jonah is suddenly explained as the believer going amongst the enemy as a representative for Christ, bringing unbelievers to Christ. And I guess that's symbolic because Jonah was amongst what they considered to be their enemies, and he was preaching to them and brought them to God. So the first dream, the meaning was kind of revealed to me as being we must be bold for Christ, speaking out and building a solid foundation for Christ here on earth, taking the scoffs of unbelievers for those who will be silenced and begin believing as well. For a time is coming when God will judge, but before that, some believers will need to hide amongst the foundations of rock prior believers have set forth. So we set the foundation for these unbelievers in this time of judgment, for them to hide and be sustained off of. So our lives need to be that rock, and we need to have that support system set up so that way those who are left and turn to Christ during that end time are able to have that to look back upon to help them end up believing and end up surviving. The second dream meaning was that there will come a time when believers must go into hiding but will be sealed for Christ. Yet there will be those who will protect the believers of Christ who are in hiding, bringing unbelievers to Christ, providing for those in hiding. Some will be martyred for Christ, while others will be on the run, surviving until Christ's return. In the end, all will be happily reunited with other believers, strangers, friends, and families alike. And again, I'm not used to having these kind of dreams. It's extremely weird that over the last couple months, all my dreams have been very vivid. I've been able to remember them, and so many of them are end up being in these running situations and these battle type situations. I also had a dream yesterday or the night before that that I needed to make this huge speech and presentation to people that were going to anger some, but in the end we're going to end up helping a lot of other people. So I needed to do this speech. And again, it was just very vivid and easily remembered. I don't know what the meaning of that one was, but yeah, it's just very odd. And the verse of the day for me that really tied into this dream was Hebrews 10:24 and 25. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. The day referring to the day when Jesus Christ will return again. And so that verse very much tied into my dream, and it's just reaffirms in my mind what the dreams were meaning. And I hope that if you have dreams like this, that you will not be afraid to share those dreams or to turn to God and ask for a meaning to be revealed to you through the dream. For God does speak to people in such a way. If you found this to be a blessing for you today, then I hope that you will consider liking, sharing, and subscribing if you're on YouTube, or just following and sharing if you're on any of my podcast stations. So thank you all for listening, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.